Now we move to Florida again. And our only women inductee tonight, Debra Swaney from Jacksonville Beach, Florida. How many Jacksonville Beach fans are there out there? Yeah. What energy comes out of that town. She hails from that powerful North Florida surf energy zone controlled by the mayor, Mitch Kaufman. Debbie started surfing after, she started very late in this game. So many of us started in early teens, or fortunate enough, Ben Bourgeois started when he was 3 years old. He was destined for greatness. But Debbie didn't start until she'd been out of high school for a couple of years, but she was very athletic in high school, and she thought surfing was cool, so she asked her husband, Dave, just before they got married, to push her into a few waves, and she took off on her first wave and turned to the right. Took off on her second wave, she turned to the right and then turned to the left. And her husband was going, okay, something's going on here. She was hooked for life after that first time. Look at her, she knows it. She remembers that very well. Through her early years, she competed and worked hard in the Jacksonville ESA community, ended up volunteering to help with the organization of the events. The infrastructure is always the most difficult part. The volunteers, the unsung heroes of the ESA is all the volunteers that make it happen. So round of applause for all those in the ESA who volunteer and make the competition happen that creates these kinds of surfers. The ESA, it's amazing, and Debra, a very serious part of that community. Over her 44 years of surfing to this date, she's a 2-time U.S. Senior Women's Champion, 86 and 1988. 4-time East Coast Women's Champion from 1985 to 1988. And she's won so many events in between in the ESA slog. But one of her highlights was in 1988. She went to the World Contest in Puerto Rico, placing 13th, a stellar accomplishment. She's very active in the surfing community in Jacksonville to this date, but one thing that happened that I like this story, it's just really fun. Imagine she's up at the ESA championships, and not even the ESA, it was the US championships. And the ESA guys, somebody went out and built a huge paddleboard so that the ESA could win and dominate the US championships. And so they had this huge paddleboard, and it was a bit of a chore, I guess, to find women to help paddle. Debbie was all about it. She was into it. So anyway, they had to pay a couple girls to actually paddle in this event, and they go out in this super huge paddleboard and win to the beach. And they get to the beach, and it's the shore pound, and all of you who have been to Hatteras understand that at the lighthouse there's this big sand angle going up the beach, a berm, if you will. So the girls are in the shore pound, and Debbie's the lead girl, and they get in, and you have to run up the beach to claim the title, right? You got to cross the finish line. And so they're struggling in the short pound. They go to lift up the board, and a wave comes and breaks on top of it, and her bikini goes down to her ankles. Standing there in all of her glory in front of the judges. But the harder part of it is you can't win, and you can't claim your spot until you cross the finish line. They had to put the board down. She had to pull her drawers back up and then pick the board back up and run up the hill. And thank you, Dave, her husband, for telling me that story, because, we all want to laugh a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, Debra Swaney.
Thank you, Hunter, for that interesting introduction. First, I would like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for giving me the ability to surf and the competition drive. I'd also like to thank my husband, Dave Swaney, who taught me how to surf, who pushed me into my first wave, and is my greatest supporter. I'd like to thank the ESA for being that vehicle where I could showcase my competitive drive. I'd like to thank Mitch Kaufman, the unofficial mayor of Jacksonville Beach, for putting my name in as a nominee and one of my best supporters. Also, I'd like to thank the board for this honor and for being inducted into the East Coast Surfing Hall of Fame. Thank you.